Now let's look at the signs of God's favor. December is a time of reflection, but it is also a time to see God at work. Psalm 91 speaks of God showing his people his miraculous works, but here's the secret: you must expect it. When you begin to declare these promises, you are setting yourself up for divine appointments, unexpected favor, and opportunities that will show you that God is truly with you. His signs will be evident in your life, and you'll begin to see breakthroughs in areas that once seemed impossible. And then there's healing and restoration. Many of you may be facing health challenges or may know someone who is. Psalm 91 says that God will deliver you from deadly diseases. He promises his healing power, and this December, it's your time for restoration. Speak these words over your life and expect to feel the strength of God rising within you. His healing is available now. Fear is another area that Psalm 91 addresses. God breaks the chains of fear. Fear is an enemy that tries to keep us bound, but God's word says that no evil shall befall you. Fear has no place in your life. You were not created to live in fear or to be paralyzed by worry. This December, let Psalm 91 be the sword you use to cut through every fear and doubt. Now let's conclude. As you claim your blessings this December, don't just read Psalm 91, declare it boldly. Let it become a part of your daily confession. Watch as God's promises unfold in your life as you walk in his protection, receive his healing, experience his favor, and enjoy his abundance. This December, focus on the signs that God is showing you and trust that your blessings are already on their way. So I urge you, repeat Psalm 91 every day. Focus on God's signs. Get ready to receive your blessings. This is your season of divine favor, protection, and breakthrough. Claim it, believe it, and receive it. Psalm 91 is not just a chapter in the Bible. It is a divine declaration of God's protection, provision, and promises, tailor-made for you and I to stand firm in faith. As we approach the month of December, we must remember that it is a time to draw near to God and prepare ourselves spiritually for the year ahead. The power of Psalm 91 lies not in simply reading the words, but in actively claiming the promises embedded within it. When we repeat this psalm, we are not just speaking words into the atmosphere, we are activating a divine shield of protection and favor over our lives. In a world that often feels uncertain and filled with fear, Psalm 91 reminds us that God is our fortress and refuge. He is the one who guards us from danger, and his faithfulness is our shield. This month, as we repeat these words, we declare our dependence on God. We acknowledge that no matter what circumstances may come our way, God's hand of protection is upon us. Every time we speak Psalm 91, we are declaring that no weapon formed against us shall prosper, and that every challenge we face will be overcome by his strength and guidance. This declaration isn't just about asking for protection, but about embracing God's promise that he will be with us in every situation, whether we are walking through trials, facing uncertainties, or stepping into new opportunities. By repeating Psalm 91 daily, we not only affirm God's protection, but also align ourselves with his will. This is a season of activation. As you declare these powerful words, know that you are setting the stage for divine intervention. You are positioning yourself to receive God's blessing, and in doing so, you are reminding yourself of the security you have in him. Every time you speak his word, you deepen your trust in his ability to lead, protect, and bless you. It's not about the repetition itself, it's about the heart behind it. When you speak Psalm 91 with faith, you are setting your spirit in agreement with the promises of God. This December, as you repeatedly speak these promises, you align yourself with God's divine purpose for your life. And in doing so, you open the door to blessings, protection, and miracles that only God can provide. The first promise in Psalm 91 speaks directly to God's unwavering protection over his people. In a time where so much in the world feels unpredictable, this psalm assures us that we are not alone and that God is our shield and refuge. He is not just a passive protector, he actively watches over us. It's essential to recognize that God's protection isn't just a theoretical concept, it is a promise meant to be experienced in our everyday lives. Psalm 91 calls us to dwell in the secret place of the Most High, which symbolizes a close, intimate relationship with God. It is from this place of spiritual closeness that we experience His protection. When you repeat Psalm 91, you are entering into that secret place with God, declaring that you are covered by His divine shield. You are inviting Him into every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, your work, and your home. God promises that under His wings we will find refuge, and that His faithfulness will be a shield and rampart against any attack. This divine protection is not just a covering for when we are in danger, but an ongoing presence in our lives, keeping us safe from all harm. This December, make the decision to focus on this powerful promise of protection. No matter what the enemy may try to bring against you, Psalm 91 assures you that you are already protected. Fear cannot take root when you know that God has your back. Whether it's an emotional storm, physical challenge, or financial uncertainty, His protection is not conditional, it is everlasting. This assurance frees you to walk boldly, knowing that nothing can touch you unless it first passes through the hands of your Heavenly Father. By declaring Psalm 91 over your life, you align yourself with divine protection and you step into the supernatural security that only God can provide. Psalm 91 not only assures us of God's protection, but also promises the powerful reality of His constant presence in our lives. The opening lines of this psalm state, "He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." This is a promise that invites us into an intimate, ongoing relationship with God. To dwell means to remain, to stay, and to live in His presence, which is not a temporary or fleeting experience, but a continuous state of being. In the hustle and bustle of life, it's easy to feel distant from God, especially when challenges arise or when we face uncertainty. However, Psalm 91 reminds us that no matter what we are going through, God's presence is a constant refuge. The key to fully experiencing His protection and blessings is to remain in His presence. This is not about visiting His presence occasionally or turning to Him in times of need. It is about making the choice to dwell in Him continually, to cultivate a lifestyle of seeking Him first, and to be anchored in His Word. When we choose to live in God's presence, we are positioning ourselves for His guidance, peace, and strength. There is no situation too overwhelming or no challenge too great that God's presence cannot overcome. As you repeat Psalm 91 this December, take time to reflect on how you can dwell more deeply in His presence. Let go of distractions and prioritize time with God in prayer, worship, and His Word. As you do this, you will experience the peace that surpasses all understanding and the strength to face anything that comes your way. Moreover, dwelling in God's presence also means that we are never truly alone. When Psalm 91 says that we are under the shadow of the Almighty, it speaks of the closeness and protection that we receive by being near to Him. Just as a shadow provides covering from the elements, God's presence is our refuge, offering us comfort, direction, and peace in every circumstance. This December, remember that God's presence is not just a promise, it's a constant, tangible reality that you can tap into every moment of your day. The more you choose to dwell in His presence, the more you will experience the fullness of His protection, peace, and favor. One of the most profound aspects of Psalm 91 is the assurance that God will deliver us from all forms of evil. The psalm speaks of being rescued from the snare of the fowler and being delivered from the perilous pestilence. These references symbolize the many dangers and attacks seen and unseen that we face in life. Whether it is physical harm, spiritual attacks, emotional struggles, or societal pressures, God promises to deliver us from it all. The significance of this promise is that God's deliverance is not limited to one specific area of life. He delivers us from all things that could harm us, whether they are direct threats or hidden dangers lurking in the background. These are the traps set by the enemy designed to cause us to stumble, to fall, and to be distracted from God's purpose for our lives. But the psalm assures us that we will not fall into these traps because God's hand is always there to catch us. As you repeat Psalm 91 this December, remember that deliverance is not just about escape, it is about divine intervention. God does not leave us to face life's dangers alone. He actively rescues us from situations where we may not even realize we are in danger. This is not only about protecting us from harm, but about empowering us to rise above the trials that come our way. Deliverance means we are not victims of circumstances, but overcomers through God's intervention. This December, reflect on the areas of your life where you may need God's deliverance, whether it's a situation that seems impossible, a habit that's hard to break, or a relationship that's causing stress and confusion. God promises to deliver you. His hand of rescue is always available, and His power is greater than any force working against you. Trust that as you declare Psalm 91 over your life, God will step in to deliver you from every snare, from every danger, and from every threat that seeks to steal your peace and purpose. This deliverance will not only protect you, but will set you on a path of victory, walking in the fullness of the blessings God has prepared for you. Psalm 91 is a powerful reminder that God's faithfulness is unwavering and His promises are sure. One of the most comforting aspects of this psalm is the assurance that God will be with us in times of trouble. In verse 15 it says, "He shall call upon me and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him." This promise reminds us that no matter what we face, whether it's a personal crisis, a financial difficulty, or a health scare, we are not abandoned. God will be with us every step of the way. In this January season, it's essential to remember that God's presence is not just for the times when everything is going well. His presence is especially vital when we are going through hardships. Whether you're struggling with personal loss, overwhelmed by responsibilities, or facing an uncertain future, know that God is with you. He promises to answer you when you call, and He will not leave you alone in your time of need. His faithfulness is a foundation that you can stand on, knowing that He will deliver you from your troubles, honor you, and bring you through every storm. This promise of God's faithfulness is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing commitment from God to be there for us, to walk through every trial with us, and to ensure that we emerge victorious. As you repeat Psalm 91 this December, reflect on God's consistent faithfulness in your life. Trust that no matter what challenges you face, God's response will always be the same. He will be with you in trouble, deliver you from it, and honor you as you walk in His grace. This assurance should strengthen your faith and encourage you to remain confident in God's ability to bring you through any situation. Psalm 91 emphasizes the divine protection that God provides for those who trust in Him. Verse 11 says, "For He shall give His angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways." This promise reveals that God doesn't just protect us in a passive way. He actively commands His angels to watch over us. This verse is a powerful reminder that God has appointed spiritual forces to safeguard us both in visible and invisible ways. The idea of angels guarding us is not just a comforting thought, it is a profound truth rooted in the Bible. God has assigned angels to protect, guide, and minister to His people. They are not distant beings, but are constantly at work on our behalf, ensuring that we are kept safe from harm. While we may not always be able to see them, they are there fulfilling God's command to keep us secure. This December, as you reflect on Psalm 91, take a moment to appreciate the invisible forces that God has put in place to protect you. You may never know the dangers that His angels have kept you from, the accidents avoided, or the attacks thwarted. But just because we don't see them doesn't mean they aren't working on our behalf. God's protection isn't limited to physical barriers or locks and doors. It extends to the unseen realm, where angels are actively safeguarding your life. Moreover, the protection that God provides through His angels is not just about preventing physical harm. It also extends to spiritual warfare, keeping you shielded from the attacks of the enemy. In times of spiritual battles, you can trust that God's angels are at work, helping you resist temptation, discouragement, and fear. As you repeat Psalm 91 this month, remember that God's protection encompasses every area of your life, body, soul, and spirit. His angels are guarding you every moment, ensuring that His will and purpose for your life will be fulfilled. By acknowledging and accepting the reality of divine protection through God's angels, you can move through this season with a sense of security and peace, knowing that you are surrounded by God's heavenly army. No weapon formed against you will prosper, because God has assigned his angels to keep you in all your ways. Psalm 91 provides a powerful promise of security and peace, especially during difficult times. In verse 7, it declares, 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. This verse assures us that even in the face of widespread destruction or calamity, those who trust in God will be protected. The message here is clear. No matter how severe the circumstances or how many others around us are affected, God's protection remains steadfast for his people. This assurance is particularly relevant in times of crisis or uncertainty. The world around us may be filled with chaos, fear, and uncertainty, but for those who trust in God, there is a promise of divine protection that stands above all. It is not that trouble will never come at will, but the promise is that even in the midst of it, God will preserve his people. The calamity that may strike others will not touch those who are under his care. As you repeat Psalm 91 this December, it's important to internalize this truth. God's protection is not just a vague idea, but a specific promise meant to keep you safe. When the world is gripped by fear, sickness, or uncertainty, you can rest assured that God is your refuge and your fortress. Even if disaster seems to be all around you, God has commanded his protection over your life. This should give you confidence to move forward without fear, knowing that God is with you.